All right, back to it. What
Just
did
a
I do?
reminder that
I feel like F5 was in the other tab there. I gotta be mindful, I guess. Apparently, I'm still getting used to these hotkeys. Oh, the hackies. F5. That works. I think it started the video over. Well, this is Peter McCullough. He was on Theo Vaughn the other day. He was on there several years ago. I remember the interview, but that was during COVID. And yeah, diving deep into the vaccine stuff. And I want to say I don't even remember all the details of what happened with him, but was that around the Great Barrington Declaration where he was sounding off about the vaccines before they now say that they can be dangerous, that they are dangerous, except for YouTube. Apparently, we're still not allowed to say that. They're very safe and effective, YouTube. But yeah, him and a few others, but he was one of the lead doctors in all this with the vaccine. So
Trap.
he's beautiful.
Yeah, good. Has the appearance of wisdom, the way he speaks. He may not be wise,
Right.
but
who we
they
talking
said,
about first?
what is it about Glenn Chertow? He seems to be getting all the attention. They said he appears wise. He has the appearance of wisdom, the way he speaks. He may not be wise,
Right.
but he appears wise. The other thing that helps you that you and I don't have. Oh, he brought him up. There's Glenn right there.
There he is, beautiful guy.
Good. Are we going to bring people thing up on the screen?
We can.
Oh, it's going to be
Beautiful
so much
guy.
fun.
Oh yeah.
But anyhow, the one thing that my Uncle Ivan taught me is that you can double your perceived intelligence with a British accent.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You get
Oh,
a
yeah.
British accent, they think you're twice as smart as
Oh,
you
that's
used
so
to be.
true.
Think about like Trevor Noah, and John Oliver. They're behind the accent. There's not much.
Twice as smart.
I feel like, if I meet a British girl, I'm like, oh, tell me everything. I feel like they just know everything.
Yes. And
Read me a book, Mom.
Have you ever read that book, Culture Code?
Culture Code,
yeah.
no.
It's about what's your first impression. And he did focus groups. It's very scientifically very solid. He said, when you meet a British person, what's the first word that comes into your mind?
Good, eh? Oh, wait, that's Australian.
Yeah.
Oh,
You almost got it with that girl. Classy.
classy.
So if you're going to advertise something
Classy.
to if you're going to
Classy?
British, you have to show somebody playing polo, and it has to be classy.
Yes. Just
Right?
finishing a biscuit, you know?
Right. So how about
Just a bit.
Italian? What's the first thing you think about when you see
Hey, you know?
the Italian? First thing, the culture code says artiste. So you have to Michelangelo. You have to portray things artistic, what have you.
Just hey, that's what I got.
How about American? Now, if you just do this globally, when you
Like a belch, kind of?
oh, close. America, the conclusion is out of this world. So you want to advertise an American like, landing on the moon or just doing something completely, Elon Musk, just jetting somewhere,
Yeah, just knocking up people and just blasting rockets into people and into space.
So culture code is a code of advertising. And what he said is if you break the code, if you try to advertise something that goes against
I've had like 3 or 4 podcasts in the past few days. It's just like jokes go right over the other person's head, and like you could tell he fumbled and recovered, and then it was just all sorts of like McCullough didn't even like comprehend any of that.
what people are thinking, your product is going to bomb out. So what's the culture code word for nurse? Nurse. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Don't
Helpful.
Yeah,
Close.
well, caring.
Mother. So you always
Oh,
want to
mother.
show a nurse
I just thought caring.
holding a baby.
Yeah.
Mother. What's the culture code for doctor?
Fixer.
Information.
Hero.
Hero.
Okay.
Hero. Hero going to save your life. This is culture code was written, I think, in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah,
It's
because
probably
that,
changed. Well, here's another one. It fits for COVID. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of hospital?
I don't know. Yeah, I got nothing on that. I was almost going to say protection, but that seems more military, so I don't know.
Safety.
Death trap.
Mm.
Death trap. Yeah, he said safety. That was pretty close to protection.
Death trap. And he interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people, did these focus groups.
Culture code.
Culture Code. It's a great book. It's a quick read, and in your business, you'd want to, I guess, kind of be in tune with the code.
Yeah, I think there's some codes that you pick up on people they don't realize, you know. But yeah, no, I think that's interesting. Just people that are able to examine that, like how people operate and how we perceive certain things. And you're a guy that's kind of like, I guess you the way you've operated has kind of changed over the past few years. Maybe I know it's certainly like grown in perception, like your ability to reach people has grown.
Yes.
You are a physician scientist, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what exactly does that term mean?
That means I practice medicine. And, I see and examine patients every day, board certified in internal medicine and cardiology by the National Board of Physician and Surgeons.
So also a cardiologist.
And a cardiologist. But I'm also a scientist, meaning I evaluate new concepts. I develop hypotheses. I use the scientific method. And I conduct studies, case reviews, literature reviews, analyze data, formulate an analysis, and then come up with opinions. And through that method, I'm one of the most published doctors in the world, and certainly the most published in my field previously, which was heart and kidney disease. So, I came into the pandemic locked and loaded. In 2007, I had testified before the Congressional Oversight Panel for the FDA. I had lectured at the European Medicine Association, New York Academy of Sciences, lectured widely at virtually every major medical school in the United States, published seminal papers. But when the pandemic hit, what I saw within the first few months is no one was going to the problem. No one was, when there's a fire or a catastrophe, and let's say 9/11 and the building is burning, most people ran this way. But some of these first responders, they ran right into it.
Amen.
I found myself in the same mode. First few weeks, I said, well, surely Harvard will tell us what to do, or the Mayo Clinic, or maybe the U.S. government. Usually the government on medical things is a laggard. They're not a leader. So if we had a new cancer problem, we wouldn't say, well, what does the government say? The government is behind academia.
Got it.
Within a few months of being into the pandemic, I said, listen, I need to do my part. I know other doctors in the hospital are doing their part. And I devised the first treatment protocol of how to treat high-risk patients. We're talking elderly patients, patients with heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, at home with very intensive therapies and oxygen at home to avoid two bad outcomes, hospitalization and death. And that became copyrighted as the McCullough Protocol. It was published in the American Journal of Medicine in 2020. Immediately, I was called before the U.S. Senate. I appeared November 19th, 2020. And so the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, a leading doctors group, did pick up the McCullough Protocol. It became standard of care. And the principles were used.
It became standard of care when? Because it was...
No, it became early standard of care in 2020 for high-risk patients. We immediately organized telemedicine units, and it was the McCullough Protocol that kept the hospitalizations down. Remember, there were projections that we were going to overrun our hospitals.
Oh, yeah. They were like emailing people, like, do you have a place we can put bodies at your house or whatever?
I had patients in their 90s with pacemakers and heart failure, and we got going early with the McCullough Protocol. We start with getting fresh air, nasal sprays and gargles, nutraceuticals. They all played small roles. Initially, the first year we used hydroxychloroquine as our antiviral and antibiotics and other drugs. Second year, ivermectin. And then third year, we actually used Paxlovid came in the third year, molnupiravir. We used those drugs. But I have to tell you, the winner was ivermectin, for sure. But I think...
Imagine that. After all the smears, that's why I gave up on breaking points. Because when they left the hill, Sagar and Crystal, she said something about Rogan and all his followers can go and just use their horse paste. It's like, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, so Crystal's done. Like, she's done in my book anyway. I don't know about you guys. When I hear that type of shit, I'm like, you're either bought and paid for, or you're too stupid to know what you're talking about.
Corticosteroids, prednisone played a huge role. Anti-inflammatory drug called colchicine we use widely today, and then antithrombotics.
What was the McCullough protocol? Like, what went into it? Like, what were you basically advocating for people?
I was saying that if we got behind on this illness, it was becoming clear we can't start treating when people are sick enough to go in the hospital. Virtually every death occurred in the hospital. So McCullough protocol said there's two bad outcomes, hospitalization and death. And if we can treat up front and never go in the hospital, we'll get through the illness. Now, I did an artificial intelligence search recently, which is a great use of AI. And I asked AI, tell me what % of the world's population contracted COVID? And it searched every single database and what have you. And, the number it came up with was 90%.
Wow.
Now, the pre-programmed bias that's still left in AI is promotional of pandemic fear, which you're still at risk, promoting vaccines, and doing everything it can to tell people they have no other options.
Right.
It's pre-programmed. So if you go to Grok...
Is that true?
It's true. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
If you go to Grok and you say, who's Dr. Peter McCullough? It'll say, well, Dr. McCullough is a cardiologist, and it'll go on and on. It'll say...
I bet you it'll say anything about... It'll say something about him being like, what would you say? Not a conspiracy theorist, but either vaccine skeptic or vaccine denier. I think isn't that the term? I'm like kind of blanking right now. I think it's vaccine denier.
But he's a conspiracy theorist, and he was lost his board certifications. It'll start saying all these things. I said, listen, just say who it is. Don't put in any defamatory comments.
Well, and that's what they were saying about RFK was basically all the same things. It's just all the smears they try to hit you with whenever they just want to defame you. That's all it is.
Give the straight facts. Then it'll actually give a straight answer. So Grok will tell you, I'm the most published person on the pandemic, period, in the world.
Okay.
And, and so if you actually tell Grok, stop all the BS, it'll do it. With Alter AI, you don't have to do that. So at McCullough Foundation, I started a foundation. We formed a relationship with Alter AI, and we pay for it, and we get a clean feed. But I think
including controversial early use approaches. I don't see anything about conspiracy theorists or anything.
I think even Copilot will come up with
Peter-
formerly practicing. No, I'm in practice. I just saw patients yesterday. I mean, look at it. It just goes on and on.
Dr. Peter McCullough.
Man, and this is Grok too. This isn't even like one of the harder left ones like GPT.
Yeah, formerly practicing as a cardiologist and internist.
Wrong. Because I'm practicing today.
He is highly published in medical literature, over 1,000 publications, cited tens of thousands of times, became widely known during the COVID-19 pandemic for his early advocacy of outpatient treatment protocols, including controversial early use approaches, and for his strong public criticisms of COVID-19 vaccines. Yeah.
Okay, well,
see, this seems...
It's getting there. Think about artificial intelligence, which I think is a huge advance. By the way, I'm using it in my practice every day now. Huge advance.
One more thing here. His views on COVID-19 vaccines and related topics have been heavily criticized by mainstream medical organizations, fact checkers, and sources like factcheck.org, which describe many of his claims as misinformation or unsupported.
Do you know not a single medical organization has reached out to me even for a discussion? And, you know, factcheck.org, that's not a medical organization.
No idea what that is.
So the idea is, let's say a medical organization said, let's have a discussion about COVID vaccine complications. Not a single one. There hasn't been a single medical school in the United States that's even had a grand rounds on this, let alone invite me to present grand rounds.
Why do you think that is, that they haven't reached out to you to have a conversation?
They haven't reached out to anybody.
Okay.
There is a tremendous willful blindness to what's gone on through the pandemic. There has been no review of lessons learned. What did we learn from the pandemic?
I agree. It's so wild how so much information was every day. It was this, go here, get a booster. If you can't like get a vaccine, like hang your family member out of a window, we'll have an archer come by with a vaccine like from Pfizer. Yeah, it was like we can, we'll vaccine them from the.
Yeah, we just moved right past it. It's like, wow, we're just gonna let it happen. All right. I guess we fucking deserve it then.
Road or whatever. It's like it was getting crazy, but yeah, it's kind of wild how afterwards there hasn't been as much like, hey, these are the things we learned. This is like what we've learned as a society.
Well, we're told over and over again there's going to be another.
Even if it was fake, even if they're just like, you know what, guys, mistakes were made, and this is like A, B, and C of what we learned, and we're going to move forward. Even if it was just for PR purposes, like, no, nothing. We're just going to act like, nope. I remember all those conspiracy theorists that thought the vaccine was dangerous. Well, I mean, it is now.
Another one. It's called Disease X. It's going to come out of another biolab.
Shit, it's going to come out of Miami, I'll tell you that.
Wait, what's this about?
Another one.
What we've learned as a society.
Well, we're told over and over again there's going to be another one. It's called Disease X. It's going to come out of another biolab.
Shit, it's going to come out of Miami, I'll tell you that.
Or Galveston, Texas. They got a BSL-4 lab there.
Do they?
Yeah.
I don't know. They got some BBLs over in Miami, though. I know that.
No, it's
Is it really?
They're dealing with some bad stuff down there.
He couldn't help himself on that one.
Okay, mark that. I want to go back and talk about that
in Galveston. Really? That's interesting.
a second. Wait, so this is it right here, defining disease X.
Well, look at Bloomberg School of Public Health. Who's the major funder of Bloomberg School of Public Health? Bill Gates.
Wow.
This is a dream.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
This is a dream of those who want to vaccinate the world, is they want another disease X.
Of course, it's another industrial war complex. That's what this is.
Well, you got it.
But it's on your bodies. I do want to say this, and Bill might just be trying to solve whatever he was potentially giving his wife. I don't know. That's allegedly. But I will say this. I want to read this right here because you mentioned it, disease X. I haven't heard about it. Since 2018, the mysterious and often misrepresented hypothetical pathogen has been at the heart of international pandemic preparedness efforts. Just that sentence alone, when you look at that sentence, look how front-loaded and vague it is. Since 2018, this mysterious, often misrepresented hypothetical pathogen has been at the heart of international pandemic preparedness efforts. Like we're so prepared for for something that's super vague. It's just like you can feel it setting you up for something.
Well, let's go to CEPI, the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation. It's founded in 2017 by the World Economic Forum and Bill Gates. And CEPI, in its business plan in 2017, says there's going to be a series of these pandemics, one after another, coming in like hurricanes. And for each one, there'll be only one solution: mass vaccination. And CEPI is a vaccine incubator. They're going to be ready. Let me tell you, vaccines in pandemics is big business.
Yeah.
Way more than pro sports, way more than anything else you can think of. It's huge business. And in this world of, we don't hear about other forms in this industrial complex now, other things now outside of biological threats and then countermeasures, which is a military term, which are vaccines, therapeutics, and protective equipment. But the idea is these are so richly funded, they're so richly funded that the entity that holds the threat and holds the antidote, they hold power. Can you imagine the negotiating power you would have if you said, hey, listen, I got COVID-20 locked and loaded right now at an undisclosed location, can get the whole country sick. We want a little better tariff situation. Can you imagine the negotiating power? And Peter Daszak, who's part of this whole conspiracy to create SARS-CoV-2, when he testified in the House of Representatives, he said, I left a whole bunch of samples back in Wuhan.
So wait, I'm confused. What was he doing there?
Peter Daszak was the go-between between Dr. Ralph Barrick at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, who devised the virus and was publishing on it, and the federal government. Daszak was at the EcoHealth Alliance. It's a go-between organization that was shuttling money for Barrick's projects over to Wuhan. Daszak had been to Wuhan many, many times. He knew that lab well.
To create the virus, you mean?
Correct.
Understood. Okay, let's back up 1 second. I just want to look at CEPI. Who created CEPI? Bring that back up.
CEPI was a World Economic Forum and the Gates Foundation. You'll find, I think, the government of Germany and India, I believe.
CEPI, okay. Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations. So this is Bill Gates and who?
He was involved as well. Gates Foundation. You'll
Back up.
CEPI was a World Economic Forum and the Gates Foundation. You'll find, I think, the government of Germany and India, I believe, was involved as well. But this is a richly funded, multi-billion-dollar organization. You just can't imagine how big these
Oh, I can
units are.
totally. You know, you look at the industrial war complex,
There we
and
go.
now you start to see it's the industrial medical complex,
There you
right?
go.
That's the new one that really seems like it's sprouted over the past 20 years.
Correct.
Right here, CEPI is the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations, a global organization focused on accelerating vaccine.
Vaccine development.
Okay, sorry. It was created in 2017 through a partnership between the governments of Norway and India, the Wellcome Trust, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yep.
And go back to Disease X. I want to just read what it was really quick.
By the way, CEPI's got a big Disease X section. They have a whole white paper on it.
Wow.
What?
Disease X is a placeholder concept that refers to a pandemic pathogen that has not yet been characterized. How vague is that? Like, hey, it exists, but we don't know what it is exactly yet.
But we have a vaccine for it.
Yeah.
Its purpose is to encourage proactive
What?
thinking about pathogens that could cause a pandemic.
What?
It exists, but we don't know what it is exactly yet.
But we have a vaccine for it.
Its purpose is to encourage proactive thinking about pathogens that could cause a pandemic. Oh, so Disease X isn't an actual disease. It's a plan?
It's a plan for a disease. So Disease X was SARS-CoV-2. It was a planned disease.
Got it.
And here we are. It was a plan. And, you know, in my first book, Courage to Face COVID-19, we expose CEPI and what we call a biopharmaceutical complex. You called it a bioindustrial complex, same thing. But there has been a cartel that's formed. It's very powerful. And it probably back 2004 is probably when it started with the BioShield Act. But it includes the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, Gates Foundation, Wellcome Trust, the Rockefeller Foundation, CEPI, Gavi, Unitate, all these organizations, all organized to essentially plan for, create pandemics, and then respond to them. And that's how COVID-19 ultimately, it's essentially known now. This was not a spontaneous thing from nature. This was planned.
What's the number one piece of evidence that makes you?
There was, gosh, what was that called? There was some sort of coordinated, like, pre-game, if you will, before COVID-19. They were, like, planning if, like, a pandemic would happen. And this happened in, like, 2019 or something like that. God, what was that thing called? I'll have to look that up and see if I can find it real quick. I'll just keep this playing.
You feel like it's known that it was planned.
Well, I think the best
might have to borrow a
source
tab.
of all of the evidence is Peter Bregan's book, COVID-19 and the Global Predators, We Are the Prey. I wrote the introduction for it. But he goes back again to about 2004, the BioShield Act, where he outlines 36 pandemic preparedness planning events. 36 historically. He's got a wonderful timeline. And of those, 24 provide written documents. You can just read them, including one of them's the PrEP Act in 2005, which says there will be a pandemic and we will have one. 2005, that was a Bush administration, HHS said, listen, we're going to have one.
Yeah, it was the thing I was talking about was Event 201. It was a 3.5-hour pandemic tabletop exercise that simulated a series of dramatic scenario-based facilitated discussions. That was in 2019, right before the pandemic happened. I remember hearing about that, and I thought it was fake. And it's not, no, that's Johns Hopkins right there. John, yeah. All of this stuff seems crazy, but then when you see it with your own eyes, you're like, how do you deny it? So here we go.
And when we do, we're going to have countermeasures. And when we roll out these countermeasures, you better take one. And there is a complete freedom of liability. But 24 of them provide written evidence, and then 6 of them are filmed. You could just go watch them.
So was he kind of a whistleblower, do you feel like?
Or he was a whistleblower back in the days where essentially Prozac wiped out, consultative counseling psychiatry overnight. He wrote the book Talking Back to Prozac.
New year, new routines. But if you complex.
Yes.
Yeah, who is it exactly?
Yeah, but hang on. People have said, well, wait a minute, it's big pharma. I disagree. I think the pharmaceutical companies and the in vitro diagnostic companies and the gown and mask companies, they're suppliers to the complex. The complex is this organized group that in many ways they have bad intentions. And look at the last World Economic Forum meeting. They play a big role in this. There was one of the speeches where they said, COVID-19 pandemic was a test of human compliance. They just come out and say that.
Was it just written or did someone speak that?
Someone say it. Yeah, let's pull it up. World Economic Forum, the pandemic was a test of human compliance. But the point I'm making is that there's a lot of interest in this whole field. We have divisions. Here we go. Who said that?
No, the World Economic Forum did not describe the pandemic as a test of human compliance. Test of
social responsibility.
Key details from that and related WF publications include test of social responsibility. The article explicitly stated that COVID-19 was the test of social responsibility.
Citing the fact that people worldwide complied with the unimaginable restrictions. Well, pretty close.
Oh, I don't doubt that it felt certainly like a psychological experiment. I mean, one of the things I was going to ask you is, what do you feel like they learned from this? Like, what valuable information was taken away, like whoever these powers are that be,
Well, I hope that they learned that when they have a vaccine that's an epic failure, that's permanently going to set back aspirations for future worldwide vaccination. Now, if this vaccine would have worked, and everyone took it, and COVID magically went away, and just everything cleared up in a month or two, and nobody was sick anymore, and there was no side effects.
It would have been a hell of a lot more convincing for the next time.
These guys would have been heroes.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, Bill Gates comes out in April of 2020 and says, this pandemic doesn't end until virtually every person in the world takes a vaccine. How does he know? It's April of 2020. Vaccines.
Right. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Yeah. So, if you have a strategy, then of course that's what you're going to say.
Well, Gates Foundation and the Bloomberg School of Public Health in 2017 hold a planning seminar. It's called the SPARS pandemic, SPARS pandemic. It's at Johns Hopkins. And it says there's going to be a coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
In 2017.
I remember reading that.
Now, they held it in 2017. They thought it was going to hit in 2025. Okay, it hits in late 2019. Then, and this is one of the ones that is well documented as a planning event, and then Event 201. Come on. That's November
there it is.
of 2019.
Thank you for bringing that up because that's the one that I remember, and it just blew my head off. Like it's like how is this even a thing? And the fact that it's even public, that's why I was like, is this real? And sure as shit, yes it is.
What is Event 201?
Event 201 was, again, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Public Health, Gates Foundation. They have a meeting. They said, we are really going to have a coronavirus pandemic. They bring over George Gao, who's the Chinese CDC director, and he's paired up with others there. Avril Haines is there. Who's Avril Haines? She's a former World Economic Forum associate, becomes our director of national intelligence under Biden. Really? And she's with George Gao, and they're saying, oh, we're gonna have a COVID pandemic, and this is how it's essentially is going to be used to railroad mass vaccination on the world.
But do you believe that everybody knew that, or do you believe that a select group knew it and then they just, because say if I have a devious plan, right? I could still go to someone and say, hey, this is what's happening. I don't have to say I'm the one who's causing what's happening, right? So because the tough part is when you start to think of like that everybody was complicit. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the part that starts to feel very impossible to a lot of people.
I don't think that's the case. I got to tell you, I was in practice then. I had no idea this was going on. Everybody I talked to at my institutions all over the whole country, all over Europe, no one knew this was happening. The point is, this was going on. This was in the open.
Got it.
No one was paying attention. I bet no one briefed Trump that in 2017 that they're going to, they were planning for a coronavirus pandemic. I bet there wasn't any briefing.
But does it also make sense that as our world evolves and as like biohacking and like research and everything becomes so much more intense and like medicine is evolving all the time and science is evolving constantly, that's just what it does, that it would make some sense to strategize that something like this could happen. Like that maybe we've moved on from like actual like huge wars on land, and then it's going to become more like, I remember years ago you would hear like, oh, the next war is going to be in the water or it's going to be in the air, right? It's going to be a virus. You would hear stuff like that a lot, like just kind of randomly.
Oh, there's movies, right? There's movie Contagion and all these other movies. What experts will say in infectious disease and vaccinology is that the reason why we have to have biolabs is we have to get ahead of nature.
Right.
So nature sooner or later is going to throw us a really bad bug, and we're susceptible to these. And the case,
and that's their excuse, but it's not convincing anymore. It's like you guys are just messing around so you can sell vaccines. And so a lot of theories are about depopulation. So if you want to go there, there's an argument there as well.
This example they use is Spanish flu. In my book on vaccines, we spend a lot of time on the Spanish flu, which was very unique. Post World War I, we have young men in army barracks. And remember, influenza doesn't directly kill people. What kills them is a secondary staphylococcal pneumonia, and that's what they die of. The point that was made, though, is that, listen, we could have another Spanish flu. And when COVID-19 pandemic broke, don't forget, the storyline we were told is, oh, here we go again. It's another Spanish flu. Now, remember, Anthony Fauci knows it came out of the lab, but they collaborate together to say, you know what? It came out of a fish market. In fact, the WHO,
he's such a piece of shit.
When it was asked to investigate early in 2020, where did this virus come from? Rear Admiral Brett Giroir, someone who went to my medical school in Dallas at Southwestern, he was on President Trump's first task force. Brett Giroir nominates 3 U.S. scientists to go to Wuhan. The WHO says, no, we don't want them. We want Peter Daszak. Isn't that interesting? Daszak, who knew, in fact, he was shuttling the plans over there. So Daszak goes over to Wuhan, and he looks around. He goes, I don't know where this virus came from, but it definitely didn't come out of the lab. He had been to the lab dozens of times. He shuttled the plans over. Anthony Fauci was well aware of this. They started covering up their emails. Rand Paul's got a great book called Deception. He has every single one of these events in it. But the point I'm making is those in this field keep saying, listen, there could be another Spanish flu. We must get ahead of this. However, with the 2004 BioShield Act and the 2005 PrEP Act, the governments got in the game of bioterrorism.
How did those acts allow them to do that?
Well, what happened was we had
the gain of function shut down, first of all, because Obama was actually the one that told Fauci to stop messing around with that shit. And then Fauci found some sort of loophole when Trump got into office and then just kept going with it.
Anthrax scare, which largely looks like it was a deranged government worker at Fort Detrick who was working on the anthrax vaccine for the military, and there's been lost enthusiasm for this vaccine based on safety. And so he actually sent some letters to Leahy and other people in Congress. Some people got sick. To this day, not a single soldier has died of anthrax because an enemy shot an anthrax capsule the other way. It's all been, this event.
Like these social events.
Yeah, social events.
Yeah.
So.
What happened with anthrax?
Well, there's another great book.
Anthrax?
With, there you go.
Letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to several news media offices and the senators Tom Daschle and
Patrick Leahy.
Patrick Leahy, killing five people and infecting 17
others. But what I'm saying is the anthrax scare.
What a weird time.
SARS-1, the SARS-1 outbreak led to this idea that wait a minute.
There's money here.
Well, first off, this could really happen. So we should be prepared. That's the reason why it's called the PrEP Act. We should be prepared, and our governments should get in this game. So the military got in the game with a unit called DARPA, D-A-R-P-A. And the National Institutes of Health got in this game with a unit called BARDA, B-A-R-D-A. And these are pandemic preparedness units. Well, as they churned over time, there's funding of biolabs, and let's see how we can make this organism more contagious. And would this work? And let's test it here. And they got to Barrick. Barrick got to the point of, well, let's take a human coronavirus, of which there's 4 that we can get as a common cold, and let's take the spike protein, the surface of it, from a bat, and then start to play with this until it can lock in with a human receptor called the ACE2 receptor and invade humanized epithelial cells in animals. And when they did that in Wuhan, it basically killed the animals. They said, ooh, now we've got a real, we took something benign, which is a coronavirus, and we've made it potentially lethal. Now, in those papers, 2015.
In what papers?
In peer-reviewed papers, 2015, Nature Communications. In 2016, in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, the first author is Menachery, Menachery. Those 2 papers describe primordial SARS-CoV-2 in 2015 and 2016. This is published. These are high-level peer-reviewed journals.
That's pretty crazy.
And the title of the paper is a SARS-like COVID coronavirus, WIV1, Wuhan Institute of Virology 1, virus poised for human emergence. So here they are in these papers, and you can pull them up, poised for human emergence. So they were announcing to the world, this isn't my field. I wasn't reading this.
But was this a good guy saying this, or was this a bad guy saying this?
These are the guys who were working. This paper was done, the work was done in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Okay.
They say it's gain-of-function research, but it was grandfathered in because it was started before the Obama ban on this. And we took it over to Wuhan. They thanked the Chinese for their collaboration. Now, the second paper that came out a month later in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, they actually put the Chinese authors on. So this was, in many ways, in the infectious disease community, in the open. Now, this paper, by the way, when the U.S. government funds work like this, they must put the genetic code of the new virus they created in a central data bank.
Mm-hmm. Did they do that?
No. And when Ralph Barrick was interviewed on this in 2021, they said, wait a minute, did you submit your genetic code? Does the virus, does it match your code from here? He says, well, I've had a discussion with the National Institutes of Health, and we believe it's a national security issue. and we are not going to release it. Now, his virus didn't have in it a key part in the spike protein called the furin cleavage joint, and it looks like that was the final thing that was added later.
Understood.
Yeah.
We hear about spike proteins a lot. What is that?
The spike protein is a spike, or this projection on the surface of the virus. The ball of the virus is called the nucleocapsid. The red part shown there is the spike protein.
Okay.
The ball itself is benign. That's not going to kill you. All the lethality in SARS-CoV-2, what killed people, and some people truly did die of this, was the spike protein. The spike protein allows the virus to inject itself in the body. We sacrifice the part of the spike protein near the ball. The S2 is sacrificed, and S1 goes into the body. Now, that's with the infection. The vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, are the genetic code for the full spike protein. So you take one of those vaccines, now the genetic code is producing the full-length spike protein in the human body.
Was there a moment, do you think, when they planned to unleash the virus, or did it just naturally sort of enter society, sort of? Like, that's where I'm a little bit confused. Was there like a day, like a D-Day of sorts, where it's like, okay, this is when we're going to just unleash this virus into the world? Or do you think it was unleashed on accident? Like, what is your thoughts on that?
You know, I don't exactly know, but I have listened to many opinions, and one opinion who I think is on target is former CDC Director Robert Redfield. He believes it leaked out by accident summer of 2019.
Accident, it just seems so, it feels like there would be so much security around something like this.
No, there are.
But if everybody's keeping it a secret.
Listen, we've published this on my Substack, Focal Points, Nick Holscher at McCullough Foundation. There's over 3,000 biolabs. Do you know there have been hundreds and hundreds of leaks? This one down in Galveston, there's been a ton of leaks.
In Galveston, Texas?
Sure. These labs require biosecurity level 4, means you have to wear a hazmat suit, and they use reverse ventilation, what have you. All you need is a ventilation system going out, someone spilling a test tube, someone not being careful. And the Biden administration in 2024, in the summer of 2024, published this legislation. And it's concerning pathogens of pandemic potential that are dual purpose. It's very important.
I'm a little confused.
And what that means is we are in the business of creating pathogens that can create pandemics, but they have a dual purpose: to get the world sick and to create vaccines.
I see what you're saying. So they're able to create a pathogen now that can get you just sick enough, you're saying?
Get the whole world sick. Now, that's kind of tricky because...
Let me read this really fast, sorry. There have been no recent reports of community-wide leak or environmental breach from the biolabs in Galveston as early as 2026. In February 2025, reports disclosed that there were 3 incidents in 2024 where researchers were potentially exposed to infectious agents within the high containment labs. The Chaper virus, a lab worker accidentally punched their finger with a needle while handling an infected guinea pig. Shout out guinea pigs, all of them. Chaper is a rare, deadly hemorrhagic fever virus. Anthrax were also cited in the annual biosafety summer release. And containment status. In all 3 cases, the incidents were contained inside the lab.
So let's go to thefocalpoints.com. We're going to have to start going to the original papers because you're getting snowed on artificial intelligence. You're getting snowed. Okay, now
I do got to get rolling here in a little bit, but we can watch a few more minutes.
so do the search button up there and type in biolab leak.
Galveston?
No, it'll come up.
Okay.
Let's pick any one of those. Just pick the UNC Chapel Hill.
That's it right there.
Click on the link right there. And this is what I do. I just go from the original papers and none of this. I think.
Yeah, because a lot of AIs, that was Gemini, I think. A lot of AIs, you just don't know what they're
You're
pulling in.
getting snowed. The illusion of biosafety during SARS-CoV-2 research. Multiple apparent occult lab-acquired infections identified under BSL-3 conditions, premier U.S. labs. And so, we're starting to get the idea that these labs are not infallible. And, Trump has actually stopped federal funding of these, but they're richly funded by foundations like Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Trust, Wellcome Trust, and they're big business for universities. Do you know that not a single state has done an inventory of their biolabs? And I'm on the Senate committee for Arizona. And they asked, well, Doc, what can we do to do better next time? I said, why don't you do an inventory of what universities are running biolabs?
Wow. So there's biolabs on college campuses right now.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
And are
Yeah.
some of them handling it like pretty severely infected?
That's what's weird. It's like, yeah, they're on college campuses. I didn't know that either till a lot of this started coming around, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's where a lot of the research takes place. Mind blown. Didn't know that.
Infectious diseases?
Yes. Now,
Really?
yeah. Go back to
Like which ones? Do you know?
go back to focal points, and I want you to pull up one I did. Search on this, and do pandemic potential dual. You're going to get the Biden administration. There we go.
Remember the bird flu and the swine flu?
Click on the top one.
Good times.
This is the government. Just scroll down. This is the government work on pandemics. This is the Bioweapons Convention, 1975, that says we shouldn't be in this business, so they call them biological threats. And just go down. The Biden administration put out guidance on this, of this dual use potential, and it's a 31-page document, and it's very minimal oversight. Listen, if you were making a nuclear bomb in a university lab, you'd have the nuclear, here it is, you'd have the Nuclear Regulatory Commission all over you.
Yeah.
And here, this is so light. Voluntary reporting, just kind of tell us what you're generally doing. There was a biolab that someone found in Ridley, California. There was one recently in Las Vegas. It's been said, I can't back it up, but it said they're all over Ukraine.
Wow.
I am telling you, the next threat we have is from a biolab. I feel pretty strongly about it.
Well, I think based on what's happened recently, yeah. I mean, I think that would make a lot of sense to say. America feels
Which
super.
sucks to admit, but that was the easiest way to shut us down. Stupid ass little cold came along and was deadly enough to kill some people and freak everybody the fuck out, to where we just shut down the entire country for a long time too. Who be going? Yeah, I should probably call it a night. All right, guys. I've been enjoying this because it should be, we need to go back and actually dig some of this stuff back up, because we can't just let it fade off into into nothingness because nobody's talking about it anymore. We got duped, and it's gonna happen again. Like you said, that disease X, whatever that is. I think I've heard about that, but again, it's been probably like 2 or 3 years, so much has happened since then. And even thinking about that, it's like I got to dig deep. Like something about that. They were. I do remember them talking about another disease coming along. But anyways, guys, I'm going to get out of here, get to editing. You guys have a good night. Oh, that's the wrong one. Getting used to hotkeys. Now you guys have a good night.